Hello, good day, and welcome to this session on relationship management. By the end of this session, we should be able to explain the term relationship management as well as make portfolio analysis and segmentation. When we say relationship management, what does it mean? In organizations' daily routine activities or commercial activities, they enter relationships with suppliers and customers. So, in order for organizations to focus their attention on their core competencies, they have to allocate sufficient resources to each relationship with their cohort. That is, if it's in terms of suppliers, they have to allocate a given set of resources for managing their interactions with their suppliers, and that's what we summarize as relationship management. So, basically, by definition, relationship management refers to the process of analyzing, planning, and controlling an organization's relationships in order to be able to leverage the more important relationships to the long-term benefits of the organization. So if you take an organization's suppliers as an example, organizations deal with a lot of suppliers, some of whom represent a meager part of their revenue, and some of whom occupy or some of whom they allocate their huge chunk of resources. So the organization cannot focus energy on all these suppliers and apportion the same energy to them. They have to know who their core and relevant or key suppliers are, and they also have to know who their routine critical few suppliers are so that they will know how to engage with each of them, giving the sort of value that each of them presents to the organization so that they can maximize value in terms of their key suppliers and also ensure continuity of supply for their routine items. And then move on to relationship marketing, which by definition refers to the long-term marketing strategy where emphasis is not just on acquiring customers but on retaining them through building of long-term, continually deepening and mutually beneficial relationships with them. So it describes the concept of ensuring that the people who you are in a relationship with, you ensure that they are satisfied in the relationship and you ensure that they know that you are committed to investing your resources in the relationship. Then we come on to relationship purchasing, which is an approach to procurement that looks beyond maximizing the value of one-off transactions or exchanges with suppliers to establishing strong, ongoing, mutually committed supplier relationships so as to secure value added or added value, competitive advantage, and reduced risk for both parties. So, in acquiring goods, works, and services, organizations have to ensure that their daily interactions with suppliers are not just one off adversarial in nature, but are also ensuring mutual benefits from both parties, such that it's not one way and it's not an exploiting sort of relationship, but each party is contributing to the success of the outcome of the engagement. So in managing an organization's given set of relationships with their suppliers or customers, they have to ensure that they undertake certain activities which will make them apportion the same energy while being on a level ground with their actors, whether it's suppliers especially or customers. And some of these activities include gathering information about the other party to predict and manage their behavior. One cannot manage their interaction with another person properly when they do not have enough information about the needs and wants or the likes or dislikes of the other party. So you have to get to know much about the other party with whom you are dealing so as to be successful in relationship management. Then secondly, you have to ensure that you segment in terms of your suppliers, you divide them and then you determine the kind of supplies that you acquire from them or the proportion of revenue occupied by each of them so that you focus more of your relationship management attention on the critical few suppliers who occupy a large portion of your revenue and then you focus little attention to the trivial many who occupy just a few or a little chunk of your revenue. Then thirdly, you have to develop approaches and action plans for managing key relationships. Yes, because relationships with suppliers are not the same with in terms of each of the suppliers. You have to ensure that for each of your supplier segments, you have a specific approach for managing your interactions with those segments. So, in terms of the critical few who occupy a huge portion of your revenue, you have to ensure that you're investing a lot of resources in the relationship management as compared to the trivial many who occupy just a few portion of your revenue. Then you have to implement actions for communication and collaboration using appropriate mechanisms. So supply chain integration is a key example for facilitating communication with the help of internet or information technology systems. So you have to ensure that some of these are in place so as to ensure effective communication, because one of the drivers of relationship is quality of interaction. So there has to be continuous interaction so as to avoid any barriers in communication. Then you have to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of relationships and communications in terms of fulfilled objectives, partner satisfaction, relationship development, and return on investment for the organization. Portfolio analysis and segmentation. When we say portfolio analysis and segmentation, it basically refers to how an organization categorizes or divides their suppliers and supplies into different classes according to relevant criteria such as volume and value of business, or profitability, or supply risk, or broadly importance to the firm's strategic objectives. So, as we have established with relationship management, you realize that organizations deal with different suppliers who supply them with different items in terms of value and importance. So, in order to manage relationships effectively, one of the tools to manage relationships with different types of suppliers is the portfolio analysis and segmentation, which helps you to divide and segregate your suppliers based on their value and volume of goods that they deal with the organization, and the importance of the organization, of the goods to the organization. So the portfolio analysis enables the procurement function to focus on and leverage available resources while minimizing identified supply and supplier risk factors. It also enables the procurement function to follow a standardized framework for decision making and action planning in regards to supply and supplier portfolio management. So we'll discuss subsequently some of the supplier portfolio tools so that you get to understand how some of these frameworks for decision making and action planning works. Then it helps to justify supply and supplier portfolio management and decision on the basis of robust criteria and analysis. So we finally distinguish between a transactional approach and a relationship approach. The transactional approaches are short um, short term in nature. They do not have regard for long term continuity of relationship. They are arm's length, or they are characterized by arm's length impersonal dealings, because in one way or the other party involved in the relationship, or both parties do not have regard for relationship continuity. So they do not give a face value to the relationship interaction. They just acquire what they want and that is it. Then there is low level of contact and communication. There's compliance and conformance. Transactional relationships command compliance and conformance from one party who may have power over the other party. And then the focus of transactional relationship is on sourcing lowest price. And a typical example is where you walk to a market where they sell tomatoes. There are a lot of tomato sellers. You would ensure that the money that you send to the market, you are getting the let's say they are selling it at 30 cedis, but you're having 50 cedis. Transactional relationship is where you would force down the supplier's price to your level, that is the 15 cedis. Then you don't have any regard for however profit they seek to get or however losses they are incurring from your 15 cedis. Then as compared to relationship type of approach, which is characterized by a long-term time scale. There is the aim for collaboration, trust, and mutual commitment. There is primary concern with effective collaborative processes, and its focus is on retaining and developing value-added competitive advantage given suppliers, as compared to the transactional approach, which focuses on lowest price. So this session has basically analyzed the process of planning, controlling, and analyzing an organization's relationship, as well as the means of categorizing and dividing supplies and suppliers into classes. Thank you.